Hello everyone, this is the new Antioch 1.0 faction video, and there is technically no change in the Warband roster. You need one lieutenant, and then you have the same as in playtest rules: 2 sniper priest, 1 trench cleric, 3 mechanized heavy infantry, 2 combat engineer, 1 medic, 5 shock trooper, and then the mercenaries. The only change in the mercenaries is that finally it's properly implemented that you can have a combat biologist as well. So the only special rule new Antioch has is the fire teams, and you can have 2 fire team in your warband, which gives you the usual concentrated attack ability, which lets you to make a bloodbath for 3 blood marker within the fire team. So one unit is damaging the target, the second unit can make the bloodbath. And the change here was mainly on how the fire team works, because previously in playtest the way it worked is that you had to activate the first unit in the fire team, you make all the actions, and then you could activate the second one. The problem was with that, if during the first unit activation you had to make a risky roll and you failed it, you cannot activate the second unit. So that made the fire team effectiveness very questionable, and the way it was changed now is that you have to activate both units as mandatory, because previously it was not mandatory. So now you have to activate both, and you can jump between the 2 units activations. So you can do first unit move, second unit move, first unit dash, second unit dash, first unit attack, second unit attack. And when you fail one of the risky rolls in any unit, that's when you lose the activation. So you have more chance to effectively have some result with the fire team, because you are not forced to activate fully one unit and then the second one. So it gives you more flexibility. And what a lot of people don't like right now with that is that since you have to activate both units, it means you will be out-activated by the end of the turn. Which is true, but in exchange you got a way more effective fire team, which is in my opinion more useful and more like what the fire team was supposed to meant, or what was supposed to be used for. So this change in my opinion is better. You have other item which I will mention later that helps you in the activation number. But in short, you have a more effective fire team now, because you are not forced to unit by unit activation, but you can jump between the units. And this gives you more flexibility how you can kill enemy units or how you can kill enemy tough units, for example. So overall I think this is a better way for fire team. Units. Unit wise, new Antioch not changed too much compared to playtest. And the lieutenant has the ability name change to hold your fire, but it's doing the same, that you force your opponent to activate one of the units that the lieutenant sees. So it's very good to screw your opponent's activation plan. Otherwise, it still has the elite leader and tough keywords, plus 2 dice for ranged and melee attack, and a 32mm base. This base is the same even if you have reinforced armor or machine armor, so no change in that. And the lieutenant is both good for ranged or melee fighting. It depends on what you want to use it for in your warband technically. The sniper priest is also the same, no change. It has the absolute fate ability, which prohibits the opponent to use any blood marker to give minus dice for the ranged attacks. And it can make an aim action, which gives it plus 2 dice for the hit roll if it's a successful risky roll. If not, activation's over. So it's still a very good shooting unit. A lot of people like to say that machine gun is a good weapon for it, but as long as it doesn't have the strong keyword, it's not really the case in my opinion, because in that case you can't shoot and move in the same turn, which is kind of a problem in very lot of cases. Trench cleric changed a bit, namely it got the negate fear keyword, which can be kind of useful to be honest. And the other change is that now the abilities is both active when you buy the unit, so you don't have to choose between the 2 ability, you get both of them on the cleric. So in a bubble it gives negate fear for all friendly unit, and you can simply spam the blessing marker producing ability, the God is with us, and that's kind of useful for a risky roll, so I think it's a better value now. The yeoman is the same, 30 ducat base cost, and for a discounted price you get the bolt action rifle, and the trench maul ability is still the same, that for 10 ducat you can buy 2 infiltrator yeoman technically or promote, and if you have a combined value of more than 1000 ducat you can have a third one. This is very good for early objective capture or disturbing the enemy, but since these are yeoman, probably going to die very quickly. The shock trooper is the same. It still has the assault drill ability, which is ignoring the heavy keyword on one melee weapon, and still has the shock charge ability, which makes you roll an extra d6 for the charge bonus, and you can choose the higher one for the charge itself. The mechanized heavy infantry also the same for 85 and 95 ducat. It still has strong. Only change is that it's a fixed 40mm base now, doesn't matter which armor you have on it. The combat engineer has a little bit of change. Instead of the range bonus, it has a bonus for the melee dice, so it's a little bit more trickier to use the satchel charge effectively, but it's still very powerful. Ability wise, the demolition is still good because it's ignoring the heavy keyword. The defuse mine is very situational because only the sapper can mine terrain pieces right now, and very few mission has active mines, so it's not always gets used, but there is the option for that. Also, the built-in armor for the engineer helps to negate the shrapnel keyword, which is also again very useful, and the fortify is still good to dig yourself in anywhere you want. And the combat medic you can buy is a bit better now that you can modify the equipment on it, except the armor, so you can make a very good powerful medic with that, and it still has the expert medic skill, which gives +2 dice on the risky roll for using the medkit, which is very good. And finished fallen is the same, that if you want to damage or kill an enemy unit which is down next to you, you get an extra dice for the injury roll if the enemy is not a black grail or demonic keyword unit. So technically your faithful enemy is suffering this extra dice. As for weapons and equipments for new Antioch, there is no change technically, so everything remained the same. And ranged weapon wise, really no change. I think new Antioch in a really good position in that you can either make a very good ranged, not faction, but ranged army, or a very closed range one, depending on which weapon you give to your units. And for ranged weapons, for example, for close fighting, you want to give, for example, submachine gun, shotguns, flamethrowers, as these are very good for close range, and for long range you still have the options for sniper rifle, automatic rifles, grenade launcher for example, so it's really not a bad position. Again, it depends on which sub-warband you're using and generally what type of fighting you want to do with your warband, but generally you still have a very good position in that. Grenade wise, again, no change. I just want to mention that the satchel charge, even though the engineer got the bonus for the melee attack instead of the range attack, it's still a very good anti-tough weapon. And since your engineer only have 8-inch range for the grenades, it's literally a close range weapon now with that. And yeah, it's harder to deliver the damage, but it's still very significant. So I would say it's still a very good buy for combat engineer and new Antioch in general. Melee weapon wise, again, no change, no new weapon, nothing. It's still very much up to what type of melee units you want to make and which weapon to give it. I don't know, I think there is not much to talk about the melee weapons. These are very like generic, no very strong one among them, so it's same as in playtest technically. Armor wise, again, same, no change. I just want to mention the two new Antioch specific one, just for the new players. The engineer body armor is restricted to the combat engineer, so only he can use it. And it's a quiet, robust and good armor, as it gives -2 injury modifier, negates the shrapnel keyword, and also if the attack comes from a weapon that has the shrapnel keyword, it gives -1 dice to the injury roll, which is, I think, very useful. So the engineer is still kind of tough to kill. But yeah, you don't want to get it into the line of fire for sure. As for the machine armor, you still have limit 1 on it, except the mechanized heavy infantry, so ideally you can have 4 in total in your warband, which is still very strong. But on the other hand, I think it needs to mention that New Antioch cannot have a tough unit or tough guy, let's say, like other armies with Desecrated Saint, for example, or Brazen Bull, Warwolf, and so on. So it's kind of a middle ground for them with the machine armor. And yeah, it's slower because it halves the charge bonus, and also it helps because it's ignoring the down result to make it a minor wound. So it's a very good armor, and yes, it's very annoying to kill, but once he's dead, it's dead. So it's not that unkillable as sometimes a lot of people say it, in my opinion. But yeah, sometimes you need like preparing for this skill, or sometimes you just need a simple lucky roll and that's it. Shield wise, still the trench shield and heavy ballistic shield, and the heavy ballistic shield is the shield for the heavy machine armor or machine armor, as normal trench shield cannot be used with the machine armor, and this one, instead of the -1 injury roll, just gives a cover bonus for fixed, which is again not bad. As for equipment, again all the same, no change. The ones that I just want to mention is the Field Shrine, as this one is kind of more helpful now because of the fire team new ruling. And the Field Shrine, you place it on the battlefield somewhere, preferably somewhere behind the cover, so it can be taken out very easily, and it gives a +3 unit count for your morale check when you count it, so it helps you to avoid too quick deaths, or not literal deaths, but you know, retreating from the battle. I think the Field Shrine is going to be a bit more significant item now, but I might be wrong. The Martyrdom Peel is still a very good one also, as this one is giving the negate fear and -1 injury dice for the specific battle it's used for the unit. So I think this is a very useful item, especially in the key fights and key missions. As for the musical instrument, it's still kind of mandatory to buy, especially if you plan to make a melee type warband, so it helps your units succeed in the dash. As for the exploration items or glory items New Antioch can buy, again all the same except the last item, the trench dog, but about it in the end. So we have the battlefield title, which is after you buy it, you can increase one of your weapon or armor limit by 1. And that can be kind of useful. For example, you can use it on machine armor as one, or any type of weapon that you feel like you need during the campaign, so that can be quite useful. The Book of Battle Prayers, it's kind of similar to the Trench Cleric ability, but instead of 8-inch, it's a 12-inch range, and it's not a risky action, but a normal action, so it's a bit easier to spam the blessing marker for your units. The Ducal Winged Armor is still very good, I would say, and other than the same ignoring down result and converting into a minor one as on the machine armor, it's giving a 10-inch flying movement type to your unit, which is very good, especially for New Antioch because there are no flying units for them, so this can be huge if you can buy it during a campaign. For the field hospital you will need a combat medic, and after that, based on the phrasing, anytime you want you can use it once after each battle, and you can try to remove a battle scar from your unit. But as I understand the description, it's just the battle scar, not the injury effect. So the injury remains, but the battle scar is removed, unless you fail the roll, because in that case you're getting an extra battle scar, which means you can't kill your own unit. So it's quite funny one in my opinion, but I can see the reasoning with it, so it's a good one. The Great Banner of New Antioch can be very useful in specific scenarios, because if you have it, you can say it without a roll that you succeeded the morale check. So, especially with the new rule for morale check, I think this can be also a good artifact to buy, but it's an expensive one. The Knighthood, it's working very similarly to the Glory Hound skill, that the unit needs to be on the battlefield at the end of the battle to give you the extra glory. But otherwise, if you can get it, especially if you can get it early, it means you can, like, let's say, mass produce the glory very easily. The Resurrection Engine is again a very good item, but again expensive. And if you have a very bad injury roll, for example a death on the unit, you can just simply ignore the result and treat it as a full recovery, and then the Resurrection Engine is used and lost. This one again can be extremely useful, especially if you can save a very good unit, and by good I mean that there is very good skills on it. This can be a very huge save for you, especially combined with the field hospital. The rocket-propelled grenade or RPG is a very powerful anti-tough weapon, but my main problem with it is the consumable keywords, and as new Antioch, the best option you can use it with is either the Lieutenant or the Sniper Priest, otherwise it's a huge gamble for the true glory, so I'm honestly, if anyone used it, please let me know in the comments and how it worked out, because I'm really curious. Yeah. The Salvage Golem is again also very useful if you can buy it early in the campaign, because it's kind of relatively cheap and it gives you extra ducats after each mission, which can be the difference between buying a few new item or unit for the next mission, so this can be very useful. Late stage of the campaign it's really not worth it, so it's an early item for sure. The smoke screen, again, it's consumable, so already it's very difficult to understand why it's good. It's 5 glory, so not cheap in my opinion for a consumable item. And technically you divide the table to 4 quarters, and 1 quarter is in fog, and whichever ranged attack is going through it gets -1 on the attack roll. So honestly, I'm not sure personally I would ever use this one, so it's a very difficult one. I'm really curious if anyone used it, how it turned out, so for this one again, if anyone used it, let me know in the comments, I'm curious. Otherwise, yeah. The sniper scope, I think it's no need to mention, it's same, ignoring the long range penalty on the weapon, which is good. But here, to be honest, for the Sniper Priest there is not much difference, because it's already using a lot of dice for the attack. I think maybe more useful on other weapon for other units. And the Trench Dog, as it's an equipment now, it's let's say attached to the unit. And problem is that currently there is some copy-paste problem with the dogs, for example the guard dog. So I would say that the dog needs some clarification first before we can really start evaluating how it's working in this new format. So I'm not sure what can be exactly say about it, but as a dog you can have a trench dog, or if you want to upgrade it you can have a guard dog or a mercy dog. And as for campaign, since new Antioch has a lot of available units, let's say, and expensive one kind of, I would say the main candidate for promotion is the Canized Heavy Infantry. I think it's without a doubt. It's too expensive to always replace it if you lose it, so I think that's the main priority. And if you still have any elite slot somehow, maybe you can look into Combat Engineer or Shock Trooper for example, but since there is a new, let's say, ruling for the mercenaries, you can also think about promoting them. It's very tricky now because we still have 6 unit slot as elite, and you already have 3 if you use the Trench Cleric, Lieutenant and Sniper Priest as 1-1-1. It's an interesting decision and choice now for the campaign, I would say. So this is new Antioch 1.0, minor changes in the unit itself and close to no change on the weapons. I think new Antioch is still in a very flexible position to come up with either a good shooting or melee army, also depending on the sub-warband, which will be expanded in the future with new countries, let's say, or new sub-warbands. Let us know in the comments if you have any comment or idea, and if you have any interesting unit loadout suggestion that was surprising for your opponent, again, please drop it in the comments. Thanks for listening to the video, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.